Hi, everyone. This is Liang Chao. I'm the Cupertino mayor this year. It's such an honor, and I'm very excited to be invited to speak to League of Women Voters. And because I have admired what the work the League has done, and I've been on your newsletter list for many years before I joined the Southwest Santa Clara Valley chapter back in 2017. And I'm a software engineer, um, was not really interested in politics until things happened in the city and then with school district. And then I started to pay more attention. And then I was elected to the school board in 2016, and then elected to the Cupertino City Council in 2018, and then re-elected in 2022. This is my seventh year, and next year will be likely my last year since we have no more than two consecutive term limit in Cupertino. And I'm actually delighted and surprised to find out this is called a coffee chat with Mayor Chao, even though it's a virtual chat. Because back in 2019, when I first started on Cupertino Council, we started a coffee talk series um, every month around the city with the city then city manager Deb Fan. And this is a picture of us at the Hobbs at the Oaks Shopping Mall. And then since then, I think we started to have mayors are starting to host a monthly coffee meeting or chat meeting with the residents. So I'm glad that I started this trend. And then, of course, I'm a coffee lover, so it was a coffee talk, and and then we still have the monthly mayor's chat in at the second Monday of each month, and they have been very well attended. This year, my focus is to help with small business, so I choose different restaurants, especially the ones that's less well known, to host the monthly chat series. And we've been at multiple restaurants this year. And as I mentioned, I joined the League of Women Voters back in 2017. It was by although I've been on the newsletter for a while, but at that time, a friend invited me to the Saratoga Area League. I attended their annual meeting, and then was very, very interested, so signed on to be their member at the time. And then later, I got elected to Cupertino City Council, but I continued to join their league. I find out also it might be better because I'm not in the same city, so there is less of a conflict on the issues. So I've been joining their meeting, but I haven't been very active in the last 2 years. And this is one of the series that they did to provide a webinar for civic education government 101. And I was involved as here are the 5 elements of that series. And I helped to present the portion about how city government works. And so I thought I would reuse that slide to talk a little about how city government works. And so this was one of the slides I used. We have 478 cities in California, and there are general law cities, charter cities, and one like San Francisco is a consolidated city and county. Cupertino is a general law city, so that means we follow the state California general law. But some cities, they have their own law, so they would be chartered, like Palo Alto, San Jose, and there are certain things that they would have the ability to do a general law city cannot do, such as I think they can pay the city council members more because most of the small cities, we the pay, there is a state law limit on how much you can get paid. I'm not sure exactly the limit for Cupertino right now. It's $700 about a month. And when I was on the school board, it was about $400 a month. And so city council members are basically a volunteer job. And some of us have to work full time. But it's to me, it's like a hobby. So it's a fun hobby. And this is the organization of the city government. The voters are our boss. And you elected us to be on the city council. And the mayor could be a member of the city council. But in some cities, the mayor is directly elected, like in Sunnyvale. In Cupertino, the mayor is selected between the council members each year for a 1-year term. And then the city council appoints city manager, city attorney. In some cities, the city council also appoints city clerk or the city treasurer. And in some cities, the voters also elect a city clerk or the police chief, for example. There are different cities. And the city provides different kind of services, of course, police and fire. But for Cupertino, police and fire is contracted with the county. So we have county police and fire. But many cities like Sunnyvale, Milpitas, Palo Alto, they have their own police and fire department. And the city will be responsible for maintaining the street, making sure the storm system works. And then, of course, building permit and waste disposal, parks and rec. We maintain our parks and provide services to the residents and the seniors. But usually the city does not provide services for healthcare, social services, or gas, electricity. It's the county that actually have that responsibility. And in fact, among the property tax, the city only gets 7% of the property tax. School district gets about 50%. The county gets 34% of our property tax. That's for Cupertino. I think different city might be different. Some cities like Sunnyvale, I think you get about 12% of the property tax. So therefore, a lot of our funding does go to county to provide these additional services. And there are different elections the voters have to affect change. Council election, or you can file referendum and then vote on the referendum. You can have citizens initiative to put on the ballot. And sometimes you could have advisory questions. So for ballot measure, some cities put on sales tax measure. For example, San Jose and Campbell, they have their own city sales tax measure. So a portion of sales tax goes to their city, but their sales tax will be higher than Cupertino, for example. And then we get our income from TOT tax, which is from hotel residency. We get tax from utility tax like storm drain maintenance and city and business license tax, which is usually very small amount, flat rate for each business. But some cities like Mountain View, they might charge more based on maybe the number of employees. That's sometimes people call head tax. Because otherwise a very large company and a very tiny home business pay the same amount. But that's what Cupertino has now. Some cities issue parcel tax to support any city service. I think it's, for example, maybe below market rate housing. And you can issue a bond major, or like property transfer tax. I think San Jose has a property transfer tax to provide additional income when people transfer property. I think Mountain View also passed a similar tax. They apply to especially transfer of larger properties to provide additional income. And like Berkeley has right share tax. So sometimes the city could put an advisory question on ballot measure. For example, Cupertino put a question about 2011 year 2000, I think, or 2010, about whether the city should spend $20 million to build the Cupertino Library. So I thought, so it might be a good idea if the city is planning to spend a large amount of money, maybe they can put a question to the voter, should we spend that? I think for example, Blackberry Farm, the city purchased that property for, I don't remember how many million of dollars. At the time, I think it was a bond major, it wasn't an advisory question. But if the city might consider purchasing a large property for a park, maybe that would be considered. So all the city meetings must abide by the Brown Act. I think maybe I'll skip that. Most of you would be familiar with that. So to ensure there is transparency in our meetings. And the Brown Act does allow some member of the city council to attend remotely, but they have to declare their location ahead of time. And you can get involved with the city by attending the council meeting, speak at the council meeting. You can read the agenda items and ask questions. If you email your questions, a lot of times we will include your question, and then in Cupertino, the staff will provide answers in a supplemental report. So everyone can see the answer. Of course, you can contact the council members and ask for a meeting. And you can also propose an agenda item or ask maybe if something, I think policy making is an evolving process. So if something doesn't work, you can always try and propose a revision to the current municipal code. And you are welcome to apply to our commissions and committee. So we have just finished an interview for the newly formed Economic Development Committee. And for Cupertino, the annual commission application deadline is usually early January. So watch out for the open vacancy there. This year, we had some mid-year vacancies, so we decided to do some commission interview for housing, public safety, for example. And also, you can get involved by campaigning for an upcoming election or run in the next city council election. So here, I would like to point out, for example, I think the League of Women Voters sued the Cupertino City over the ethics, the code of ethics that was adopted. Oh no, I think it was a lobbying ordinance, sorry. The lobbying ordinance that was adopted because there was a concern whether it might limit the ability of nonprofit like League of Women Voters to lobby city council members. It's a valid concern, but then the best way to communicate that probably is not through a lawsuit and right before an election. The best way would be email us, ask for a meeting, tell us your concern. And even a lot of times, the best way to effect change is send us a red line version of the muni code on how you would like to propose something to be modified, especially if it's something small that this is unclear. Can you clarify that? That's an easy change, actually, we can adopt with a revision of the muni code. That if the council really ignore you and doesn't want to address that, maybe you can sue them or have an initiative to put it on the ballot to make a change. So, but always the best way is talk to the council member and all the city staff also, and see if they might see things, convince them first. Yeah. But I did put a ballot major back in 2016 on the ballot. We collected about 4,000 signatures to put it on, but that was after we have been attending every council meeting to try and convince the council to look at the impact of a massive amount of office at the Volco shopping mall and the council members keep ignoring us. And that was 1 year right after Apple Park was built. So allocating almost 1.5 times more office of Apple Park to Valco did not make sense at the time. And we kept, but the council member ignored us. One of them also never responded to my request for a meeting, Rod 6. So I remember till this day that what it felt as a resident when a council member doesn't respond at all. So I try to respond to anyone who would like to have a meeting. And yeah, and then also at that time, so I try to not cut speakers' time because I know everyone want their time to speak to council members. So these are also part of the slide I had for the League of Women Cities. So the different revenue source for the city. I think I will go through this quickly. And then the city usually has a budget at a glance. You can Google that for Cupertino. Sorry that these are from 2021 or 22 when I gave the presentation at League of Women Cities. I didn't have time to update that. But you can, I think I kind of mentioned these numbers before. You can check the slide later or get the updated information from the city website. The budget at a glance also has a distribution of how we are spending our money in different categories of the city service. Public work usually has the largest chunk of the money because they have to maintain the street, the parks, and then we have other portions that you can read later. And budget years is from July 1st to the next year. And therefore, we usually would have to adopt the budget by June. And then we have a quarterly report. The city manager usually will have a proposal in around March, and then we would work on that. The city also decides our work program around January, so that we would decide what work might need might need to be budgeted in the budget in June. I think I already had that slide. Here, this is just a list of questions from the presentation I had earlier with League of Women Voters. And this year as the mayor, I have started a few initiatives. And one of them is the Cupertino Stories that I'm hoping to get. I wonder how come I cannot go to the next one. So here is a video that maybe I'll play. The city staff created this video. Yeah. So I hope all of you consider to submit a story there. Anyone who has ever volunteered, lived, volunteer, worked in Cupertino is welcome to submit a story. And on the website, you'll notice that there is a link to another website called Share Your Echo. It's a website created by two high schoolers in a Cupertino hackathon. And in there, they have a method where it will pop questions to you so you can record your answers. So basically, you can interview yourself and record your story, and then they would convert the audio story into text. And then you can review the text and use that to compose a story also. And so that's a way to help you if you would like to provide audio input. And we would like a story of organizations like League of Women Voters or any businesses. And so these are some 3 sample stories we had initially. Now there are a lot more stories there. And Rotary Club has submitted many wonderful stories there. And we have other partners who are submitting stories. And this year we're also celebrating the 70th year anniversary. We started back in 1955 on October 10th, after the voter approved the incorporation of the city. On October 29th this year, we will have the community award ceremony for the Crest Award and also the 70th anniversary. So watch out for messages from the city. And they also are collecting artwork about Cupertino, and then you can join. And these are just stories that was on the Cupertino Stories website. And this year I also worked with a few people who are helping to organize an art fair in Cupertino. That was in May, and also organized a dance festival because I like to dance. And when I was in college, I was in the folk dancing club. So we have organized 2 dance in the library plaza with groups from different culture. So I hope we will have time to organize another one. And we organized the Bobatino Festival again this year in August. And what's upcoming is a high schooler would help organize a comedy show. Basically, it's a Cupertino teen, anyone can sign up to perform event. That will be sometime in November. So I'm happy to work with many partners to help to organize this story. I think I need to cut the speech short. So the rest, these are the slides from my State of the City address. You are welcome to look that up and to watch that video. So I provided some background about me. I came from Taiwan and studied at Princeton University, and then taught at Iowa State University for 4 years in the computer engineering department, and then moved to Germany and spent there for 2 years. And then we moved back to the Silicon Valley. So I've been working on software to accelerate hardware design. And right now I work for a startup that work on software to accelerate printed circuit design. And so this is a kind of thing that we produce in our company. We produce this kind of image to help people design printed circuit board, which is what you see on the upper left, right? That's inside a lot of this electronic box that you do use. And I guess what got me involved was back in 2014, many parents were worried about school overcrowding because it was very crowded. But then we start to have declining enrollment. And then we find out the vocal people were divided on, should we have a huge amount of office or should we have a less dense in vocal? But what I have find out is, whenever people disagree, a lot of times you have common goal. You just have a different way of achieving that. And what I have always hoped to ask for is a responsible development, because any impact we have, it will be long term. And so these are things that we have approved, the things I got on the council. For example, Cupertino Village Hotel, the Anza Hotel, and the Westport Shopping Mall. It's Oak Shopping Mall, and that I think we have the BMR building built already. That's on the far left in the screen, and on the right, the seniors. And then we have some townhome and the row houses built behind there. But the senior center, we have approved a new revision that hopefully will be coming soon. And then we have approved this Allen Road project at the corner of Stevens Creek and Foothill. And they have this very nice artwork there. And we have approved the Canyon Crossing. I think they haven't started building yet. So I have met with every developer who has requested a meeting. I find out most of them really care about the community and really want their project to be liked by the community, and really would adjust their project, and they want to make a profit, of course, and we need them to make a profit. But then a lot of times they are very willing to adjust the project to address concerns. I find most of them are very responsible and really care about the community. It's very rare to have a developer who just want to get their own way to maximize their profit. So this year I have monthly chat, as I have mentioned, and then also at the second meeting of this year, of every month this year, I have chosen to issue a proclamation for community organizations. And so I think this month in September, we recognize the two special needs, two organizations serving special needs children, children with special need, friends of children with special need, and parents helping parents. Next month in October, we are recognizing Rotary and Lions Club. Earlier this year, we have recognized the Friends of the Library and just a few other groups. So you're welcome to suggest organization to be recognized. And also this year, the staff has implemented an online requesting system. You can use the link here to request a proclamation, certificate, or awards for your organization or your members. A lot of organizations would request certificate for installment of officers when they have new officers to thank the work of the previous officer. So that's right now available for anyone to do. And this was also content from the State of the City address, but it's basically what I hope to do at the time. But then I think we are working through these items. Fortunately, now I have a city administration that works better with the mayor and the priorities of this council. So we have been able to work through a lot of these items that were stalled earlier. So things are going really well now. Some of the challenges that's facing Cupertino, this is still in part of the State of the City address, is we are losing the heart of the city to townhomes. There are at least 3 commercial sites that will be replaced by 100% townhomes. So including the site that would be currently is Pizza Hut and the Staples, they will become townhomes. United Furnitures will become all townhomes. And the Panera Bread likely will become all townhomes also, although the developer is considering the option of preserving Panera Bread, but we are not sure if that might work. So as a result, we are losing sales tax revenue and also losing a commercial corridor where people could walk from one business to the next. When that corridor is interrupted by an apartment block, it hurts business on both sides because you can walk from one to another. And therefore, I think my focus is on economic development. What is this challenge? How we can still develop our economy and try to increase our sales revenue. And also we are losing impact fees through legal challenges because many developer, starting with Valco, is challenging suing the city in order to get fee waiver. For example, we have given Valco $70 million of fee waiver in a settlement with Valco. That's about one whole year of city revenue. And other developer are requesting fee waiver too. And then, so therefore, I'm looking at also fiscal accountability. Are we placing, back in 2022, we actually placed about $50 to $60 million in a cash account, not earning interest, when the interest rate was starting to rise to 3 to 4%. So the city has done a little better now, but then we were still keeping about $20 million in cash, even though our annual budget is only about $100 million. Other cities I've looked at only put about $2 to $5 million in cash. So that's something I'm hoping to address. And another thing is we reduced a lot of service due to the CTTFA audit. Some sales tax has to be relocated because of the state changing how they interpret where online sales, tax from online sales should go. So instead of going to sales office, it's going to warehouse cities. So we are looking at losing at $10 to $30 million of sales tax. So we need to address that. And then another thing we are working on is this one we are still trying to work on, because a lot of times the city approve a capital improvement project as part of the entire city project. It might be 10 projects approved based on one paragraph description. So sometimes it's a $3 million project, but we don't really know what's inside the project. And then the next time it's on the council agenda, it would already be a construction contract to be approved. So there is some gap in decision-making process. So we have given direction to staff to look at how we might improve transparency in decision-making and improve the accountability for this kind of project. So we are a very small city at the heart of the Silicon Valley, but we are well known because of Apple. So next year it's Super Bowl is coming, and then the World Cup. We have just appointed members to the Economic Development Committee. I think a consensus is we should try to decide what is our branding for Cupertino so that we can attract businesses and consumers to come to visit or improve tourism in Cupertino. That's our challenge going ahead. And these are the slides from a speech I gave recently at TEDx talk at the California Science and Technology University. So it's just, the comment was, engineers make great council members because we are problem solvers. And we don't just take any assumption for granted. We ask questions and we do research. And then it's very important to make sure we are solving the right problem also. Because if you think you have a headache, but the doctor only give you medicine for the headache, but maybe you have a cancer in your stomach, or just there might be other problem. So we need to make sure we are identify the root problem in order to actually solve it. In Chinese, we have an essay, don't do 头痛医头，脚痛医脚. And a doctor shouldn't just heal your pain wherever it hurt. Is used to. The doctor should look at your entire body. And so vote. Your votes count. Even though you have never voted like me until 2014, get involved, and then you can help form policy, and you can help elect problem solvers. I find out there are a lot of illogical feel-good policies just for a better narrative, but a lot of them are making the problems worse in the name of solving the specific problem. One example is a lot of the state housing law. That's in the name of solving affordable housing, it's making housing more and more expensive and making it harder and harder for the city to negotiate with developers to provide more affordable housing. I can speak half an hour on that, so let's just go on. And then right now, in this speech, I also talk about how I use artificial intelligence in policy making. I use that to analyze budget. You can send the entire budget book to AI and ask it to analyze it. You can use it to summarize a loan report and analyze a law and do research to compare policies from different cities. And I also use it to help me draft proposed policies or resolution or press release. And it also helped me write speech. And after you write a speech, it will help you create slides. And it will even help me generate images. All of these images on these slides are generated by AI. And it will look at the content of your slide and suggest an image. Even the people were generated. Initially, the AI gave me 2%. I said, I want more people in the background. Boom, it has more people in the background. And so initially, it generated some cartoonish type of image for some of the others. And then I said, I want a realistic image. So it generated this for me. So people matter. Even though we are entering into artificial intelligence, it cannot solve the human side of the city government. We need real people, and AI can help us do a lot of things, but then a lot of things we need people to speak up. So this is an initiative that I have mentioned earlier, skipping that. So it's very important that we build social capital while we are building financial capital. As a society, I feel that there is less and less social capital built. That's something why we are seeing more homeless. In the old days, if anyone could fall in a bad patch, could be due to medical cost, due to job loss, or any other reason. But in the old days, there is a community and people would give a hand, either a church or a neighborhood block. But nowadays, that social capital is not there. So a lot of people don't have that social capital to pick them up, and they fall on bad times. And once you get into homeless, it's very hard to get back up. So I think we, as a community, need to focus more on building social capital. Every step that I have taken since my transformation, I guess, from engineer to today a mayor is because I just started to help someone. A lot of times it has nothing to do with me, but because I help them to figure things out, maybe talk to the school district or do something else. And then in return, I got a lot more back. And that's the kind of social capital you build if you can invest some time to help people. So I would encourage everyone to have not only a career roadmap, but a professional roadmap, but also a civic roadmap. Don't just think about how I want to be professionally, but how you want to be civically. I challenge you to give 5% of your time, 1 hour out of every 20 to volunteer, help a neighbor, mentor someone, or attend a council meeting just to find out what issues are there that you can help, or serve on city commission. And then you will start to build that social capital. And you don't need to be loud to lead. You don't need to have all the answers. Just care enough to begin and have the courage to stay when things get tough. You'll get criticized. People will challenge you, but that will only serve to make whatever solution you are working on better by bouncing ideas with each other and thinking maybe there might be some gaps. So thank everyone who challenged you and criticized you. Staying there, and you will look back and find out you have built a community. And so this was the scene where we were dancing at a Jewish celebration. Yeah. So stay connected. And so this is my LinkedIn on, you can get connected there or just connected from the city website. Okay, that's the last slide. And submit your stories to cupertinostories.org.
Thank you so much, Liang. That was a fascinating set of stories and information. Are there any questions from the participants right now? If you all don't have questions, I have a couple questions. Tara.
Sure.
Tara, you're on mute.
I wasn't really having a question. I just wanted to thank the mayor for connecting also with Leadership Sunnyvale for our honoring some of our regional people. So that was very nice to see you at the event. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all the good work that you have done. So many people you have helped to introduce to leadership. Yeah.
We can all use updates.
Yeah.
And a lot of the information that you shared, Liang, helped to understand why the city is doing some of the things it's doing. And I was wondering, for the affordable housing implementation, which I know Cupertino is under the gun to put affordable housing in, what are your ideas on implementing that project?
So as you know, the state has so we have the housing element. So the state each year, not each year, every 8 years, they will decide how much housing we are projected to have, and then the Bay Area, Nye County Bay Area, will get do an assessment and determine how much housing we need, and then they allocate numbers for each county, and then each county allocates some numbers to each city. So the city was allocated, I think, 4,200 units back in 2014. when they did the housing element at the time. And then this year, not this year, in 2023, that was 2022, 2023 is the new 8-year cycle. And our allocation was about 4,600 housing units. So it's almost double. Wait, sorry, I think I got the number wrong. From 2014, it was 2,400. And this time it's almost double to 4,600. Yeah. So that's for most cities. But then it also specified for this 4,600 what percentage need to be below market rate, and low income, very low income, middle income, or the market rate. Most of cities actually outperform on market rate, and it's the below market rate that it's very hard to get built. One reason is that's a subsidized housing, and then we do need to subsidies. But then the state, even though they require all the cities to do this much housing, the state did not provide any funding, or not, I wouldn't say any. The state did not provide enough funding at all. I think it's far away, maybe like a tiny portion of the actual amount that needs to be built. And especially in our region, to build even 1 unit of below market rate is about $1 million. So if you count the cost of all the below market rate housing we can build, the city would never be able to meet the goal. So basically, the state has set an impossible goal for all the city to meet. And then another way to build below market rate is to require a percentage of market rate housing. So the city has many years ago already adopted that. We require 15% of below market rate housing for every market rate project. That's inclusive below market rate. And then for sale project, we require 20%. In the old days, I think there was someone who challenged whether the city can require that. Fortunately, San Jose won that lawsuit. So now we can require that. However, it does not always get in. It a lot of times it's like, okay, the city also required that all the below market rate housing needs to be about the same size as market rate, and they should be mixed together so you can tell which one is below market rate. But with the new state law, developers can take exceptions and waivers so they can build below market rate to be tiny 1 studio and market rate unit to be 4 bedrooms. This was the case for the Valco development. So they built 50% was the below market rate because they were using the state law SB 35, but all the below market rate was tiny 1 studio or 1 bedroom. And for our project also that we are facing that challenge. I wish like in San Francisco, they were able to negotiate with developer to build 40% of the below market rate. So when the city is given a more power to zone or approve a project, we actually can push harder to increase the percentage of below market rate when we have the power. But the state, over the last few years, has taken all the power away. Now we are, a lot of times, a project land in Cupertino at the council, we have to approve. And there is no leeway for the city to even push back to try to enforce. We want the affordable number. We want this size, the comparable size. They can take waiver on that too. So that's the thing. And then, like I said, for retail, we used to have the requirement on Stevens Creek that 75% of the frontage have to be retail. now developer can just waive that requirement
Mhm.
without any consequences or any compensation to the city for the loss in retail revenue. And so how do we build a market rate? We really need to advocate to the state for funding. They should not be putting unfunded mandate on the city. This is basically a constitution. You can say it violates the constitution because it's an unfunded mandate. Give us funding so we can build, or so that we are not subject to a lot of these other waivers, so we can push harder to require units. But it's a tough decision. And then another thing is Cupertino as a city, we don't own a lot of land. I think I always admire other cities when we go to them. Sunnyvale has a very large space for Sunnyvale City Hall, right? And Campbell also has very large space. Santa Clara also has a lot of city-owned land. Cupertino doesn't have a lot. So we dissected this very tiny site for the Mary Avenue below market rate project. I was very supportive of that. I thought, oh, it's great, we can build it on the city land. But now, because the parking that was originally planned for the Westport development at the Oaks Shopping Mall was removed. And because of state law, of course, they cannot provide zero parking in any development. So then we are facing parking challenge over there. So now it's a great project I really like to support, but we are getting a lot of opposition on the lack of parking space in that area. So some people are saying, oh, you don't need parking. People are just all going to ride and bike and ride buses. But in reality, that doesn't work for Cupertino. And for families, you have so many kids, it's very hard to go to places with bike, walk, and and bus. It's something I don't really have a solution for, but really, really hope we can build more. Well, I keep saying we cannot build. The city doesn't build housing. We can only plan, and we can work with developer to try and provide more.
Is that one of the goals of your proposed economic development committee?
The economic development would be not looking at the housing, but looking at the potential retail loss. I guess try to see how we can increase city tax revenue. So, which would be not only we want to help with our existing small business, make it easier for business to set up in Cupertino, because even our commercial rent is high. So many people come to me and say they want to do a beauty shop in Cupertino, they want to do this shop in Cupertino, but the rent is high. And so we are looking at, can we find them a shared space that might be smaller, but then they can still have that in Cupertino. And then we might be looking at how we can help startups in Cupertino. But startups doesn't generate revenue. So we really need to look at mid-sized and larger companies. But Cupertino does get a lot of B2B tax, business-to-business tax. So sales tax doesn't have to always come from retail. Retail, I think, is more of a quality of life issue. Because if you don't have retail in Cupertino, everyone have to drive to other cities to shop. So it's a sales tax issue, but also a quality of life issue. But if we can figure out more how to generate more business to business tax, even without retail, we can generate revenue. So we do have quite a lot in Cupertino because of the business to business transaction with Apple. And if we can look into what kind of business can generate that would help us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from the other audience members? Well, I want,
I can add a comment. Actually, initially I thought I'll start with this comment, but maybe it's like a life of a mayor. So I got up at 6 today, start to check my city email because I was so busy yesterday. I didn't have time to check city email. I responded to emails, and then we worked on a press release. I gave my comments for the press release, and then it usually has a quote from the mayor. So I use the ChatGPT to help me rephrase my quote and then make it shorter. And then I had an agenda setting meeting at 8:30. So because for agenda, if we publish agenda, we have council meeting on Tuesday. Then we will need to publish the agenda. Usually it's the Wednesday before. And then it used to be the city manager only share with me the agenda the Monday before it's published. So it's like 2 days before the agenda is published, I see the agenda. And that in the beginning of the year, that was the case. So I thought, oh, that doesn't work. And I think that mayor should have given more transparency and visibility on our city agenda process. So now we have a Thursday agenda setting. And in the Thursday agenda setting, for example, today I look at the agenda for October 7th and 21st. So I do 2 meeting look ahead and then see, okay, what item might be ready. And then maybe October 7th might be too full, we move it to later. So these are the things I do. And then Monday morning, because next Wednesday will be the publication for the, I think we have 1 extra week. We have 1 extra week because we have 5 weeks in September. But otherwise, usually the publication for agenda will be next Wednesday. And then I will have another Monday morning agenda review for the agenda to be published on Wednesday. So that's kind of the process we have. And this week was a particularly grueling week because we had a commission interview on Monday night for the Economical Development and the Housing Commission. And then we had the council meeting on Tuesday from 5:45 and it went on to 12:30, past midnight. We had unanimous vote from all council members to extend to 12:30 to finish the last item. The reason was we had 3 hours of public comment last night, not on 1 item, but on 4 different items. But back in September 3rd, I cut the public comment for the last item because I want to finish that from 3 minutes to 1 minute. And then people complained about it in the mayor's chat the week after. Then I thought, okay, it's on agenda item. I shouldn't cut comment. And so this time I'm like, okay, I'm not cutting comment on any agenda item. But this time we have 4 different groups who all want to speak on the agenda item. And it's like we had 3 hours of public comment. So
well, the good news about that, Liang, the good news about that is that people can't complain that they were not heard.
Yeah, but then I find out that they are complaining that we take too much time to talk between the council members. But then I thought the purpose of the council meeting should be council deliberation because we never have time to really talk to each other. This is the only time I can hear what other council members think about the topic. So if we take away that, we eventually doesn't really serve the purpose of making decision by I don't want to come to a meeting and already I have my mind set up and then just vote, right? I'm supposed to, I want to look at here, all the public comment is important, but a lot of time it's very repetitive. And most of the people have written to us before. And then they want to still take that 3 minutes of the meeting time. So I thought, okay, I still have to have a rule for agenda item, I still would need to set a limit of maybe at most 30 minutes for one agenda item. And if there are too many people, I have to shorten the time for that agenda item so that the council has the time to actually deliberate, because we had to we eventually only got to discuss 2 items in that whole meeting that went until midnight. We were only to be able to discuss 2 items because all the rest of them were public comment. Yeah, so that's the challenge. You are trying to give everyone time, but then you might end up losing the goal of the city council. So
Well,
yeah,
you
my
have
challenge.
many challenges to solve.
Yeah, but people keep asking, "Are you enjoying it?" I do enjoy, even though it's really tiring. And then, oh yeah, and then, so I had something every day. So yesterday, Wednesday, was the meeting with commissioners to select Crest Award winners. So it's really fun to give out awards. So even though it's a lot of things every day, and like the agenda setting and talking with League of Women Voters, it's just fun. So even though it's a lot, there are challenges, there are conflicts, and I think I enjoy actually solving problems. And yeah, so
Well, thank you.
thank you so much.
We have enjoyed having you.
Yeah. Okay, so call, request meetings, email if there's anything you think could be improved. That's just part of the process. People have to speak up because we don't know what's not working if you don't tell us.
Well,
Okay.
the league has and will continue to speak up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Bye.